Okay, so hello everyone. I'm quite happy to be the first one to kickstart this new series of tutorial. Indeed, today I will talk about the version 3 of NPTool, which is a software dedicated for the analysis and simulation of experiments. I will start first by maybe in a kind of caricatural way, try to talk about what is the nuclear physics code standard. Truth is that in most cases, everybody starts to do their own custom analysis for each experiment, which means codes that are not reusable because they're not maintained, they're not very modular, they're not well documented. Building new code from scratch for each experiment is difficult, especially for a new PhD student, which have often quite many difficulties starting from the code of the previous student. And it can mean quite big inconsistencies from one experiment to the others. The other problem often is also that analysis and simulations are not treated in a similar fashion, which can lead to uncertainties and inconsistency. Also, in recent years, experimental setup and detectors have increased significantly in complexity. Here, I'm just showing what I know and what I'm working with most of the time, which are MUST2, and GRIT. And you can see that already in a few years, the number of strips has increased significantly. And this is also intended a bit as a joke, but it means that in 2100 will be like 20,000 or more strips. The point is that this more complex detectors, here, for example, there is a picture of MuGAST combined with Agata. It requires a change of philosophy, and we need analysis code that is standardized, that is reproducible, reusable, modular, collaborative, and consistent between analysis and simulation. This is the idea of NPTool. NPTool is a common framework for nuclear physics experiment, which is based on very standard toolboxes that we all use and developed by the CERN, which are the root analysis for the analysis and Geant4 for simulation. The software is collaborative and open source, modular and flexible because you can build any detector, any setup, any physics, and you can combine very different detectors inside of NPTool. And it also aims, let's say, as a side thing at promoting good practices, to have a framework philosophy, a standard code structure, and a well-commented, documented, and readable code. Most of the detectors have been tried and tested, and simulation and analysis are validated together. This is what I'm showing here on this small doodle on the right, where the point is to say that when you have experimental results or simulation from NPTool, both data are analyzed in the same way through the NPTool framework with similar configuration files. And this should give you very comparable and similar results between experiments and simulation. So now I will start how to NPTool. This is, I would say, the tutorial is that you go to the NPTool website where we have already quite many things. You install NPTool by following the manual, you do your simulation, your analysis, and step 4, you profit. Of course, I don't want to do as most of the tutorial you can find online on how can you draw something, like don't draw 2 circles and go directly to the rest of the down hole. I will try to present as much as I can all the steps in between. I will start even before talking about NPTool, which are requirements. So to install NPTool, you require a few packages, but in particular, you require a good installation of root and Geant4. To help you and guide you on how to install root and Geant4, I think to have good installation of root and Geant4, but also something which is compatible with NPTool, we have this web page on the NPTool website where you have all the different commands to install root from the source code, and same thing for Geant4. Especially, I know people have sometimes issues with installation of Geant4 and the compatibility with NPTool, and here you have all the different CMake commands that are necessary to run Geant4 for NPTool. Now, let's go back to the installation and the first step of NPTool. So as I said, you go to the NPTool website. So you can use your favorite navigator. You can type NPTool. Hopefully this is the first result. On this web page, you find something called Manual V3, on which we have detailed guide of installation, benchmark an example and some other tutorial or some other information that can be helpful for your first simulations. You go under installation, and the first step will be to do what we call git clone, what is called git clone. So you need to have Git installed on your computer. This will copy nptool from the GitLab. I would advise you to do it not in your home folder, but try to do it in a dedicated software folder. Once this copy is done, you can proceed with the installation. For this, first step will be to source this nptool.sh. So you go to the nptool folder, and inside of this nptool folder, you will find, in a very similar fashion than for root or geant4, this nptool.sh, which will load the environment. It is something that you could do at every startup of every, let's say, time you open your terminal, but it is better to do it when you open your terminal automatically, so you can copy this line to your bash rc or your .dot profile if you're on Mac. Once you have sourced the environment, you can do the installation of nptool. If you type npl from anywhere, this will put you directly into the nplib folder, which is a folder dedicated of the analysis part of nptool. Then you can type cmake, which will generate the make file, and then make install. This will install nptool, and then you can specify the number of threads you want to use. So this is for the installation of nptool. Now, next step is the installation of np simulation. So you can just simply follow the guide. Same thing. Here you will type nps to go to the np simulation folder, in which you will type again cmake. Here, just a small, let's say, tips is that, at least on my computer, maybe it's a problem of my own environment, but I have to specify that I want to use the CSX standard, so the C++ standard from 2017. Maybe it's also only on macOS, but it's something that if you have an issue in the installation, that you might have to specify. Then, very similar to most installation, you just do your make install, and this will install everything for the simulation. Once this is done, you can go, in fact, directly to the first simulation. For this, inside of your terminal, you will first, here I created a nptuto.gdr, which is a project for this tutorial. If you type npp nptuto.gdr, this will put you directly into the project folder of this tutorial. Then you can type np simulation, the detector file, the reaction file, and the output name. This will open the geant4 Qt interface that you can see here. Inside of this interface, you have many buttons. I don't want to go into here full detail. The most important part will be here. If you want to just run some event, you will type in the prompt run beam on, and the number of events. Here, I think I generated 100,000 events. This will take a little bit. You will see some of the tracks that have been generated, and you will be able also to move your detector in 3D. This is sometimes useful to be able to move and look at your detector or your experimental setup in 3D, especially if you have different detectors combined. Here, for simplicity, I'm just showing the MUS2 detector, which are a set of detectors with a double-sided silicon strip detector in front and 4x4 CSI crystals behind. So yes, as you can see, you can move it around and look at the tracks of your beam. Here it is just a summary of the different commands I've done. So as I said, npp goes to the project folder. If you specify the name of the project, you go directly to your project. np simulation is the executable for running simulation in nptool. This is a detector file. Here I use mugaslis. In fact, it's MUS2 detector in the configuration of the mugaslis campaign. -E is for the reaction file, -O is for the output file. And in the next slide, I will detail a little bit more the detector and reaction file. And in geant4, you just need to type the number of events you want to generate with this command. So as I said, you need detector and reaction file. So detector file are in fact files that correspond to the geometry of the different material of your experimental setup. Of course, in most cases, you will want to have a target. So the first thing in this detector file is the target. You have the thickness that is specified here, so 50 micrometer. You can give an angle to your target, a radius, a material, here it's CH2, and the position. The standard position for your target would be, of course, 0, 0, 0. But sometimes, for example, you can run an experiment and you're unable to reproduce your data, and you have to move the target to reproduce your experimental data because for some reason the target moved or there was an angle. And it's something that you can very easily input inside of the detector file. Then it is the detectors themselves. Here, I just put 4 MUST2 telescopes. And this is what, let's say, the different tokens for a MUST2 telescope are. First thing is the name of the detector. So for MUST2, it's M2 telescope. If you were to use Exogam, you would just type Exogam. If you were to use ACTAR, you would type ACTAR. And then you have the set of tokens, which are different for each detector. If you want to know what tokens you can use, you can directly inside of the NP tool folder look at the different input, and you have detector configuration with different inputs, or in the project dedicated for each detector where you should find a detector file that gives you the correct tokens. You can also look inside of the C++ files of the detector, but in most cases, it's not necessary. Here, for example, the tokens are just the corner of your double-sided silicon strip detector and condition if you want to have or not silicon, CSI, and so on. Then the other file that is important is the reaction file. So first thing you need, of course, is a beam. Here I was looking at the Chromium PD for Chromium 48 PD reaction in MUST2. So I have a beam of Chromium 48. I gave it an energy of 1440 MeV. And then you can give different information about the beam profile because especially if you look, for example, and you do some fragmentation beam, your beam profile will be very important to have, let's say, a realistic output. Here, I just put some value a little bit simplified, but you can really go into it by having let's say, a measurement of your distribution of energy, a measurement of your distribution of angles, of distribution of X, Y, and so on. The second part is the reaction itself. Here, I'm doing the PD reaction, meaning I'm doing a two-body reaction. So my beam is chromium 48. My target is a proton inside of the CH2 target. My light particle is a deuteron, and my heavy particle is a chromium 47. Here, I have not put any excitation of my heavy or my light, would be more relevant to do the heavy, but you can, if you have different excited state, specify this excitation energy heavy to have all the different excited states that you would observe in your reaction. There is also something that is useful here is a cross-section path where you can input an angular distribution that you would get from a software such as Fresco, for example, if you want to use a DWBA cross-section, for example. Once you have done your simulation and you have exit the Qt window of Geant4, it will generate an output inside of output simulation. If you open this file using root, this is the structure you will get. So you will get a file with a tree called simulated tree. You will also get different information such as the event generator, which is the reaction file you used, and the detector configuration, which is a detector file you used. This can be useful if you want to open a simulation you've done a while ago and you want to see what were the conditions you used for this simulation. Then inside of this simulated tree, you have different branches. Here you have the interaction coordinate class and the reaction condition class. Both are very useful and very important. These are, of course, information you do not get when you run a real experiment because you don't get directly this information. But since this is a simulation, you can really look at the exact position of interaction of your particles inside of your detector, as well as the exact reaction that has been generated by GN4. Then you can, so here you can see you have the detected position inside the detector, detected mass, energy, charge, and so on. And here you have the reaction information. Then you can draw, for example, the kinematics. So I can draw the kinetic energy as a function of the angle from the reaction itself, which is really what has been generated by the reaction in GN4. And you get this type of kinematic lines. Then you can directly inside of NPTool draw kinematic lines by using this object reaction. So you do NPL reaction, you give it a name, and then you say, okay, here I'm doing chromium-48 PT reaction to chromium-47 at 1440 MeV. If I'm doing that, I can then do r.get kinematic line 3. So R was the name of my reaction, and this will draw a kinematic line on top of your generated event. This can be very useful, especially when you're running the experiment. For example, you have some kinematic lines and you can test, give different excitation energy and draw it directly on your data without having to do it in a separate macro or without having to use Lees, for example. Here also I wanted to show that even just after this simple simulation, as a simple, I would say, first step, and sometimes, to be honest, it's the thing that is sufficient when you just want to look, for example, at the angular coverage of your setup. Once you have done your simulation, here you can also draw, instead of the reaction theta, which is what has been generated, the detected theta. And here, as you see, this is what you obtained because, of course, there were no MUS2 detector at 0 degree. So you see that you are cutting everything below around 5 degree. And same thing, you can, of course, draw the kinematic lines on top again. Once you have done you've looked into your simulation file, what you want is to do the analysis. So maybe just one thing I want to add is that inside of the simulation file, of course, you also get, you have the MUS2 here class. This MUS2 class is in fact something extremely similar to what you would get after your acquisition system. In MUS2, we have even pushed it quite far because we are even generating information from the simulation which are uncalibrated, so which are in channel. Then like this, you can test your calibration software and all of this. Once you have done your simulation, you want to go through the analysis, which means applying the same set of analysis. Can be filter, can be calibration, can be, for example, in the case of a double-sided silicon strip detector, we want to match the energies between the X and the Y information in your detector. So this is something that you can implement in your detector treatment when you do the NP analysis. This will generate really something that is filtered and calibrated in a similar fashion than for the experiment. So when you run NP analysis, it creates a new file. Here you will see inside of this file, it is simpler in a sense that you just have the MUS2 class with all its information, so telescope number, delta E, so silicon energy, CSIE, and you can have all this detailed information, as well as some branches that I've generated by my analysis. And for this, I will let you look inside of the project for this tutorial. Where you will find here, you see energy in the laboratory and angle in the laboratory, which, contrary to what I've shown before, where I was just showing what has been generated by GN4 or where particles have been detected, this is something that is reconstructed from the information measured, let's say, in the detector, which is delta E plus E information, which is like silicon energy plus CSI energy, and the position measured or reconstructed, I would say, in the detector. Then there are other information you can draw. You can look, for example, at the excitation energy. So here this is excitation energy reconstructed using missing mass, for example. Or you can also look, for example, at the heat pattern inside of your detector. And here you see the XY heat patterns reconstructed inside of my MUS2 detector. This is the command I put in my terminal to do this analysis. So it's very similar, in fact, to NP simulation. You type NP analysis, -d, the detector file, -e, the reaction. And here I'm specifying the input, which is this simu NP tuto input, and the name of the input tree. Then I can specify again an output. I want to add that here I was analyzing a simulation file. If you are analyzing data file, most of the time you have also to add the -c calibration.txt, for example, where you would put all your different calibration file for your detector. But if you want to run just simulation analysis, of course you have, even for MUS2 here, you have default calibration parameter. And similarly to the output of the simulation, which was under output simulation, the output of the analysis is under output analysis. Okay. So this is how you go from the two circles to the hole itself in a very simple way. We are at step 4 now. We've done the simulation analysis and everything. We are at the profit stage. This works for the simple case, where you would use an already developed detectors, an already developed event generator. Here, for example, I did the chromium-48 PT reaction in MUS2. And in that type of case, you do not need to enter any C++ code. You simply need to use a detector geometry that you can modify to your need, and the reaction files that you can also modify or adapt to your need. But sometimes you want to go beyond just the drawing of the hole. You want to develop your own stuffs. You want, for example, to develop a new detector where you need to heavily modify, or you need to heavily modify one that is already existing. You want to use a non-standard reaction. Can be things, for example, we have, I think, many reactions which are very standard in nuclear physics, but for example, I know we don't have a multi-nucleon transfer reaction, so it's something that you might want to add to NP tool. And in that case, you need to develop detector, its simulation and analysis, and event generator. But the good thing here is that it is not really from scratch, in a sense that even if you develop something that has never been developed in NP tool, you have the guidance and the framework, the comprehensive standard NP tool framework to help you how you can develop your detector. If you are in that type of situation and you need to dive into the NP tool code, you can type npt. This will bring you to the NP tool folder where you have, let's say, at the core of the NP tool folder. The two parts that will interest you most likely are the nplib and np simulation folder. nplib is for the analysis and the core NP tool functionality, and np simulation is for the simulation. This is the structure of nplib. You have many things inside, but what you will most likely be interested in is the detector folder, where you have all the detectors, as well as a physics folder, because if you want to create a new type of reaction, and if there are calculations dedicated to this reaction, they can sometimes be interesting and useful, even if you do not do a Geant force simulation. For example, two-body reaction, as I've shown here, you have the part which is the generation of the particle by Geant4, but all the calculation for this reaction can be used to calculate missing mass, to calculate other information, to draw the kinematic lines. All of these are something that we would prefer to put in the analysis part of NP tool than in the Geant4 part. Now, if you want to work on the simulation, in a very similar fashion, both nplib and np simulation are structured very similarly, where you also have a detector folder where you have all the information of all the detectors, and you have also event generator and process, which, depending on what you want to do, can be useful. For example, event generator can be it's where you would to the different generation of the particle, for example, and in process, you can find beam reaction, which is where you will find the two-body reaction and all of this. So if you want to develop something new, I would advise you to look at what has been done in these folders. For a detector itself, for the detector itself, this is the structure and the important files that you want to look into. You have the data file, which are where you have the dictionaries of the MUS2 class here, which is the structure of and the different information that you will write in your tree after a simulation or after a conversion, for example. You also have the physics file, which is very important because this is where you will have the dictionaries of your, and so the information that will be written inside of your analysis tree, as well as all the different methods from your detector, all the different functions that are used in your detector for example, filtering, for calibration, and so on. You might also be interested in the spectra file to generate spectra for online spectra or for generation of spectra directly in your file, for example. I would say this is in the version 3, not so mandatory and important. For the part physics reader, I will not detail here. It's something that has been done to accelerate the analysis. And if you're interested, it's something that we can also discuss if you want to contact me and you want more information about that. And then in the NP simulation, it's a little bit more simple where you have just this file, which will gather all the information for geometry and I don't know, resolution, all of this from your detectors. Now, if you want some more help in developing your own detectors, you can also use what we call the NP-Tool wizard. So it's a very fancy name, which I asked ChatGPT to generate to me a picture of the NP-Tool wizard. Well, it's not that cool. I have to admit. We are not doing that much magic inside NP-Tool wizard. But the point here is it is a tool that has been developed in order to generate the skeleton of a new detector. So wherever you are in your terminal, if you have source nptool.sh, you can type nptool wizard. This will prompt you this, that will ask you first for your detector name. So let's here, I will call the test detector. Then it will ask your name and your email address. This is useful because this will be written at the top of your files to specify who did this detector and why, maybe. And then it will ask you, do you want to add this file to the nptool repository? I would say if you're just doing tests and you want to try a first detector, or you want to play a little bit with nptool, you should put no. If you're interested in pushing your detector, you can also do it later and you can ask us. If you type yes, you also need to have the authorization from the collaboration, or at least you need to be in the GitLab. Okay. So this, in fact, has generated all the relevant files for the analysis and simulation. If you go now to nplib detectors, you will find now that you have a new folder, which is called here test detector, in which you will find the different files that I've presented before, which is this data file, physics file, and spectra files. Okay. Then in the NP simulation, inside of detector, same thing. You will have a folder called test detector, in which you will find two files, which are testdetector.cch.testdetector.h, which is where you have simple first geometry. And it also generated a project called test detector. And inside of this project, you will find a simple test detector.detector. In that case, you can then do np compilation. So this will recompile nptool. If you type np compilation without anything after, it will recompile everything. If you do np compilation -l, it will recompile the library. So np library -s, the simulation. You should maybe here in this screen grab, I'm doing -l, but in fact you should do np compilation in general. And this will recompile everything. And once it is done, you can do the same command as before. So np simulation minus d test.detector minus e, the reaction you want to do, minus O, the name of your output. And if you do so, you will be prompted with, from this wizard, of course, now you will be prompted by this window with 3 detectors inside, a 2-box detector of kind of a box-shaped detector in plastic, and 1 cylinder. These are very bare bones, very basic, but then if you go into this different test detector file, you can try to understand how you go from this to a much more complex detector, such as MUS2 that I've presented before. Okay, so that's it, I would say, for this tutorial part for the version 3. I just want to end on one note, which is that we are developing a new version of NPTool called V4. This version is here because we have found some limitation to the V3 that we want to improve. And in fact, we are now having, let's say, a complete shift of philosophy. Because as I said in NPTool, when you download it, you get everything. And sometimes you don't need it. And even sometimes it can be problematic if somebody modifies something and you copy and you git clone it or git pull it, meaning like you update it, while it's not completely fixed and there is some compilation issue, for example. So now we are moving to a philosophy where everybody's will be implementing their own plugin. We will have a plugin manager like pip, for example, for Python, brew, or apt-get for package manager, where you will be able to do nptool install mus2, nptool install grit, nptool install whatever, in order to get just the detector and just the packages you need. And each of these plugins will be maintained by different people. And for example, here, this was something I was presenting during another, let's say, workshop. But the idea is that, for example, you could have mus2, which is maintained by, I don't know, the nptool collaboration, Agatha, which is maintained by INFN, I don't know. So Grid by the Grid collaboration. It's something that we could think of in the future. So as a conclusion, I hope I convinced you that because of the increasing complexity of the detection array, the modularity of nuclear physics experiment, it really requires a change of analysis and simulation philosophy in nuclear physics. I would like to stress that I don't think it is reasonable that still today we are sharing software through USB sticks that is not commented and not maintained at all, because this creates, I think it's not efficient. And in many cases, this really limits the work and the analysis that we can do. I hope that I've shown that NPTool is an example of framework that is developed by and for nuclear physicists and that aim really at overcoming these different challenges. We have already many detectors, many reactions, and other useful tools that you can use. And please remember that NPTool is a collaborative tool. So you are all welcome to join the collaboration. And if you want to contact me or Adrien, which is Adrien Mata, the person that did the original development, or other people from the collaboration, you are welcome to do so. And we would really like to have more people working with us. And as a final note, thank you for your attention.